Welcome to Malcolm Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcolm and Rochelle Reed.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Reed, joined by my lovely, talented wife, Miss Southern Shell. Got Tyler on the boards. Everybody's here today. What's happening?
I walked outside this morning and it wasn't cold.
Yeah.
There wasn't a chill in the air.
It's supposed to cool off with this front coming through. Guess what? It's raining again.
But it's spring.
Yeah. April showers. That's what they say.
It definitely looked like it was going to be cold outside.
In May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be cold this morning. It's supposed to be cooler this weekend.
So do you think we'll have good weather for Memphis in May? Last year,
Heck
it
yeah.
was
Awesome.
unbeatable.
No, we probably won't. Who knows?
It'll be humid and hot and raining.
But it is going to be at the fairground, or the old fairgrounds, or Tiger Lane, they call it now. I like that.
Yeah, it's all concrete.
It's going to be on pavement.
You miss the ambiance of being downtown on the river, but
Change is going to be okay for a year or two.
yeah, the logistical part of it's a lot nicer.
The bad thing is there's nothing around. So if you want to go, downtown, Bill Street, get all that, Memphis in May ambiance, like you said, of being downtown, you don't get that. And I don't know what part of town you call that. It's Midtown.
Midtown.
Yeah.
It's
There's an area close by. Overton's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got Overton right there.
It's really the closest place to stay over there, I guess, which is.
Yeah, but they don't have a lot of hotels and they're all booked.
Yeah. So if you're going to stay, you got to stay downtown and ride a shuttle.
Yep. But they are going to offer shuttles.
Yeah.
So they had the Memphis in May meeting, the official Memphis in May Cooks team meeting
last Sunday.
So that's why.
That's how we know all this, right? No, but it looks interesting. They're doing the load in different because you've got a set time because of the way they're running these aisles. I guess there's only like one or two ways in each aisle. They stack teams in. Well, if the end teams get in first, you can't get in the middle spots. So
and we're an end team.
We're an end team. So they're going to load inside out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But it'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Time to start brushing up on that rib recipe. Already got some practice cooks planned. Mark's actually going up to Indianapolis to cook KCBS contest this weekend where they still run kind of the recipe on St. Louis ribs.
Yeah.
But
the flavor profile's the same.
Yeah. He's going to try to run the same, see how it hits, just test it out on some judges. But
knock the rust off the cook.
Knock the rust off, yeah. Man, did you see that big pit that they went up and cooked with Outlaw? That was awesome.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Big Hoss.
The one that they made, Jay and
it's a whole hog.
Mark made videos for.
Yeah. They released videos on their YouTube channel this week. Y'all go check that out on Swine Life and Tennessee Mojo.
So it's an Outlaw pit smoker.
It's basically two smokers in one.
How big is it? Is it like the BFO?
Shoot, it's bigger than the BFO.
Really?
Mark said you could fit the BFO inside of it.
Oh, really?
But see, so one end's like a normal stick burner end, the end close to the firebox, and the other end's a whole hog cooking end. And I don't know the exact dimensions of it or anything, but I would guess it's close to 36 inches. Dang. You can put a whole hog on it easy.
Yeah, on one side and then have another
and
side.
And then have the whole side to cook whatever else you want to cook on. You could probably cook another whole hog if you wanted to. It's that big.
Okay.
But they cooked I'd call it definitely a hot and fast hog. They run it pit at 300 degrees the whole time and cooked a hog in like 6.5 hours. A full grown,
like 180 pound hog,
150 pound,
150 pound hog,
dressed. So that's big.
Mm.
But the cool thing about it is he's made this. It's like a ash. Or not ash, it's hot coal collected baskets. So if you know how a stick burner works, you build your fire in a fire basket on the fire side, the firebox.
Yeah.
And then underneath that, he's got the grates to where some of those hot coals will fall down in these baskets. He's got a little tool where you take that basket out, and right underneath the hog, there's a door that opens up underneath the hog on that side of the pit, and you can take those baskets and pour your coals in there so you can move extra coals underneath the hams, underneath the shoulders, put them where you want it to get those areas that need a little extra heat cooked. And that's how they're able to cook that hog so fast. But also what it does is it allows those juices from the hog rendering as it cooks to drip down and hit coals. So it's mimicking the old brick whole hog pits like you see the guys in the Carolinas use, where they've got the hog on top of the coals and they're shoveling.
You can't beat that flavor.
You cannot beat that flavor. So it's kind of that same drum, old style barbecue pit flavor that you're getting in a stick burner. Your firebox is still your main heat source.
Yeah.
It's,
Do you
it's
have to
controlling
put those coals underneath, or is it just an option?
You don't have to. You don't have to run any extra fire underneath there if you don't want to. The pit's gonna cook a little bit. You have to build a bigger fire to get it to maintain that 300-degree temperature, because you are getting some heat from underneath. But the way that stick burner runs is when you build that fire in the firebox, the heat goes into the cook chamber. And it starts bouncing off the top. Most of your airflow is pulling it over the meat, just right above grate level. You get some heat below, but not a ton, and especially when you got more mass in there. So with this pit, you've got the option to put some additional heat and get some additional flavor by putting it right underneath the hog or whatever else you're cooking. If you got to load it up with butts, it do the same thing. Or brisket, do the same thing. You can duplicate that drum or that old school pit flavor.
That's smart.
Yeah, I love it.
So could you move it from, if your hams are behind, could you move it from your shoulders to your hams easily?
Easily, yeah, easily. And the cool thing about the rack he made, it spins, so you can.
You can spin
the rack
hog.
comes right out. You spin it. I mean, it's amazing.
Jay's really smart.
Yeah,
in that way.
Oh, he was up the other night. Mark said he talked to him. It was like 1 a.m. And he was still out there. He's got probes and sensors hooked up, trying to see where the heat flow's going in the pit, because it's still. I mean, they revealed it that he's done it, but it's still a big of it was a work in progress still, because, he's a final product now, but Jay's the type, he'll keep tinkering on it and figuring out exactly how to run it and what it wants to do and how big a fire you got to build in it and all that. So
have a big house 2.0 eventually.
2.0. I'd like to see it with double doors where you could put, 2 hogs and have 2 options to put coals underneath both of them.
So how long is this pit from end to end?
Man, I don't know. It's got to be 14, 16 feet, something like that.
That's big. And
It's
you
huge.
haul it.
I didn't measure it. Yeah. It's a tow.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna push it around. Tell him what I don't know what he wants for it. I mean, God, you got to think of the steel it took to build that. I'm sure it's an expensive pit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's no Kalamazoo, but it may be a Kalamazoo price. I'm sure it is.
Well, this week we finally released the white barbecue sauce.
We did. That's been a long time coming. I've been slowly leaking it, like on TikTok, and using it in some stuff, but we finally got it all shipped, because it's different working with the Mayo based product than it has been for our traditional tomato based products. We had to find a whole new.
I mean, it's still a
co-packer.
process, regardless of the product.
That's right.
But
is that what we're talking about today? Is bottling process?
A little bit.
But yeah, no, the white sauce is live in action. It's on. I don't think it's sold out. Is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we got our first order in.
Yeah,
came in last week. We got it live on the website. We had to have some of it shipped here, some of it to our warehouse, but we brought some to the shop here in Hernando. And hopefully get some.
We need to do something where we
reviews on it.
Give some white sauce away to the community.
So we were actually talking about that all together yesterday, trying to come up with a good way to give that away, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
we need to the podcast listeners. I don't know how we would do it, but send us in some emails and Tyler will randomly pick some folks or something.
Let me come up with an idea.
Yeah, come up with an idea, and we might do that next week or something.
Yeah, give away some white sauce to. We'll do a little bit of community and a little bit of podcast listener. Yeah. So what is a white barbecue sauce?
It's so as far as I know, it started in Alabama, and it's a Mayo based sauce instead of the traditional ketchup or tomatoes or mustard. It's Mayo based, so it's creamy.
My attention already.
It's vinegar. It's got a lot of pepper in it. It's got some seasonings in it, but it's not like barbecued flavored seasonings. To me, it's just, I like the peppery effect.
Yeah, yeah.
And it has a little sweetness to balance it out. Has a little citrus flavor for some lemon, some lemon zest, some lemon juice in it. And that's kind of what it is. It's a thinner sauce. It's not super thick, but it goes excellent on chicken. But man, I've found all kinds of ways to use it.
Yeah.
I've used it as a pizza sauce. I've used it on pulled pork a lot. I like to serve it along with, my other sauces when I'm serving barbecue, just so you have the option. But I've made a wing sauce with it, turned it into like a garlic parm sauce.
I've used it as a dipping sauce.
Used it as a dipping sauce. Yeah.
Put it in wraps.
It's really good.
I
like it. I like it.
I love a white barbecue sauce, and we would always, home make a barbecue sauce, and that was the goal: is working towards a white barbecue sauce that tastes as good
as you can make
homemade.
Homemade
one.
It's been my problem with them. Because a lot of them, I guess, to make them stable, they have to change the ingredients so much, so you get away from the mayo. But I went out and tried to find a co-packer that specialized in doing mayo sauces. So of course I went down to the coast where they make a lot of the remoulades and comeback sauces and things like that.
Yeah.
And they was like, that's our specialty. We work with mayonnaise. Because everybody I even contacted Blue Plate. I was like, look, I've got this sauce.
You've been working on it for years.
I've been working on it for years. Ever since I've started making white barbecue sauce at home.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find a way to bottle it, and it just never. Everybody wanted to use like soybean oil or something substitute, and I was like, it's not what I want,
And we did get a few samples.
And it wasn't
back.
shelf stable. It's like, oh yeah, we can do it, but it's got to be refrigerated. And I did not want a refrigerated product. I wanted something that could stand alone on the shelf. Now, when you open it, I recommend refrigerating it, but I do that with barbecue sauces too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, does it have the right pH to sit shelf stable? Yeah, it does. It don't have to go. It's got an 18-month shelf life. So.
Well, so does mayonnaise.
So does mayonnaise.
What?
We have this argument all the time, and I've always thought if you left mayonnaise out, that you can get sick from it.
But it's on the shelf at the store. Do you think that one little piece of metal that you pull off the top is changes everything?
Yeah. Well, so I assume like when you make a mayonnaise and they pasteurize it, whatever they do, they process it.
Yeah.
They get, they pull all the air out, they fill the jars, they put that top over there, it's sealed off from air. It's air that's your enemy. Once you introduced air to it, I think, I'm not a daggum scientist. I don't know.
So the fridge stops.
I just know that I've always been told you don't leave mayonnaise out.
It
but
does.
You go to some restaurants and the squeezy mayonnaise is on the table.
It is. And I don't think
they're not
about
refrigerating it. Yeah.
I'll use it just the same.
So would you eat coleslaw that's been sitting out for like 5 hours at a picnic?
Yes.
And not think twice about it?
You wouldn't.
Oh, heck no. Potato salad, coleslaw, anything like that, I don't touch after it's been sitting out.
Mayonnaise does get that. It like changes color when it sits
separates
out.
or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Oh, I mean, I keep mayonnaise in the fridge.
Yeah, but it don't bother you. And I don't know. Somebody might could chime in and tell us.
I've always wondered, like,
it's safe. You could put mayonnaise in your pantry and eat it. I wouldn't. Would you homemade mayonnaise?
Heck no.
Oh, because of the eggs.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's been pasteurized if it's been bottled, right?
I really don't know what they do to it. Anyway.
You're just go for it. Warm mayo out of the pantry is good to go.
I'm a rebel.
You're a rebel. I would not. What about tartar sauce? Would you leave that out?
Yeah, it's fine. No, I we refrigerate all that stuff as much as possible.
Yeah, I refrigerate all of it. I leave like Worcestershire and soy sauce and things like that in the pantry. But if it's a barbecue sauce or something I'm going to keep for a while, even my wing sauces that I use, if I buy a prepackaged sauce like that or marinade, I'm putting it in the fridge.
Yeah. I did that the other day with the Greek vinaigrette, and I know that could sit out, but I put it in the fridge anyway.
Yeah.
I think it increases the shelf life, too.
I have noticed oily stuff gets cloudy, though, when you cool that oil off.
Yeah.
Fat in it just kind of, it don't solidify, but it looks like a vinaigrette usually looks better if it's been sitting in the pantry.
But anyway, so we finally got the white barbecue sauce
available. You can find it at HowToBBQRight.com. It's probably hitting wholesalers too, so you'll start seeing it on some shelves. It's not going out to any of the major retailers. It's a specialty item.
It's kind of creamy. It's kind of zippy, peppery.
It's got to me, it has a touch of heat. It's not hot.
Yeah, but that's more of a pepper
black
heat.
Pepper heat. Yeah.
So can I ask you some questions about the bottling process?
Sure.
How to take an idea, like you got a recipe. It's written on a sheet of paper, 2 cups brown sugar,
so much ketchup,
whatever. How do you take that and get to a product that you can actually sell?
Well, so I guess there's two ways. Some people do get by with going to like farmer's market, making their own, canning it, and selling it, kind of like cottage industry type, where you're setting up at a flea market or local farmer's market or craft show or something like that. And you can do that. But if you want to get into a place where you can actually distribute it or retail it on any kind of scale, you need to go work with a co-packer.
What's a co-packer? I've always wondered that because we've called them
a co-packer. I mean, they're a company that works in conjunction with you, bottling your recipe for whatever you shoot, for remarketing or whatever, private use, restaurant use, whatever you want to do with it. But they're the packaging department that you don't own. They kind of co on it, I guess. That's how it works. But I guess that's why they call it a co-packer. I don't know. It's just what it's always been called.
How do you find a co-packer?
Well, Google.
Is that where you start?
That's where you start if you don't know. That's what I mean, back in the day, the first one I ever worked with, I had friends that were using a specific co-packer. They recommended them. But, there's a ton of them out there. Every state has some type of co-packer, it seems like. I know there's, we're in Mississippi. We have a couple. There's, one in Tennessee I started with, but I know there's co-packers in Texas, Florida, Illinois,
Arkansas.
California, Arkansas, everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. But if you Google search co-packers, there's like, I forget what website it is. I'd have to look. But it's like a government kind of database. I guess it's a government. I don't know who's putting it up, but it lists like by state these different co-packers that are, I guess reputable, or if, they may have paid somebody to be on this list. I don't know. But I go through there and I started contacting people.
That was for your white sauce, yeah.
Yeah, for my white sauce. That's what I did. I went because my co-packers weren't any help. They was like, we don't know anybody doing mayonnaise. I don't know if they just didn't want to do it, or they told me they've tried it and it didn't work, stuff like that. But they didn't want to mess with it. They didn't want to, because I guess they cook. I really don't know. They couldn't give me a good reason why they didn't do mayonnaise, but they didn't. So I just started looking on Mayo-based co-packers, and I found a list of them in different states, and I started contacting them. But the bad thing was it was pre-pandemic when I started, but most of them weren't taking on new business. They were maxed out, or the volume wasn't there. They wanted me to do like truckload. And to start out on a new product, I don't know about everybody else, but I couldn't invest that much money into saying I was going to order 26 pallets, usually about 100 cases per pallet. That's a lot of sauce to set up. A lot
of product.
To not know if you're going to be able to move it. What are you going to do with it? You're talking, probably $50,000 or more. I don't know. I don't really know what that price would have been. But so I started contacting them, and finally, I guess I found the guy in Mississippi
it was a recommendation.
It was a recommendation, but it was
someone
for a different sauce, because it really wasn't for the white sauce first. It's because I was looking at making a comeback sauce, because I've got a recipe for a comeback that we make, and I was wanting to see. And they was like, yeah, this guy down here does like tartar sauces, remoulade sauces, stuff like that, Cajun lines of sauces, seafood sauces. And I just contacted them and was asking them, and by the way, could you make a white barbecue sauce for me? It's got mayo in it. And he's like, yeah, that's no problem. Send me the recipe. So that's usually how it works. Once you identify a company that you want to work with, you need to go with your recipe. And
so what happens when they get your recipe?
A lot of the ones that I've dealt with aren't good at translating, say, your paper recipe that you've wrote out.
Well, it doesn't translate.
Because they don't do it the same way. First, they batch it. They're not going to make it in that small size sample. But that's what a good co-packer can help you with. They can help you translate your measurements to measurements that they use. Because I figured out, like, everything they use is usually by weight. They don't use a lot of stuff by ounces. Or, like, if you're at home, you probably got measuring cups, you've got tablespoons. You're not weighing everything out. You're not thinking of it as a whole percentage. Like, they start at 100%. This product has 100% ingredients in it, and they want you to back it out. So say 20% of it is mayo, 10% is vinegar. And when you do recipes, it's really not like that. I don't make them. I don't think like that. And then when I make adjustments, I really don't think it like that, because it's like, okay, back down to vinegar. But what are, if we back out of a hole 100%, what are we backing,
Yeah,
what are we amping up?
Yeah.
Because you can't just take out and be less than 100%. That's, to me, that don't make sense. If I say back out something, just take a little out of it, Make it the exact same way. I don't care what the ratio was, just don't add as much this. And it don't work like that.
Yeah.
So a part of that relationship was getting somebody that'll work with your paper recipe, the recipe that you started with, and getting them to translate it to a sample. And that's usually what first step is.
But even if you had a percentage-based recipe, once you go to put it from making a bowl or, a jar.
Quart jar usually is what my recipes usually make, or a gallon, whatever, however you want to do it.
To making a whole batch.
To making 250 gallons, it don't correlate.
Yeah.
And that's where the process can drag out. And a lot of the guys that you work with, they'll give you so many attempts or so many lab hours to work with them on the recipe. And those recipes are like trial and error. So they're going to take your recipe. They may make it small batch first just to see if they got that part right, if the small batch is actually something that you're going to sign off on. So usually first you'll get some paperwork. It'll be like a non-disclosure type. They agree not to share your recipe, not to do, sell it to anybody, not to make something else and relabel it, anything like that. It's like a confidentiality thing. So you'll sign all that with them, and then you'll give them your recipe. A lot of times you have to make a sample and send that to them too. I did that. I made a sample, the packaged it up, got it cold, we sent it to them. Then they took that and sent us back, a sample that they made. And you have to get that right first. It was like, well, I don't remember on the white sauce. It seemed like it took a couple times.
It always takes a couple times. Even with rubs, sauces, this process is pretty much the same across the board.
It is.
All products.
It is.
Yeah.
So after you go through that, then they have to ramp it up. They have to scale it. And you have to pay for, you have to go into label design. You have to figure out what kind of bottle you're going to put it in. And all this stuff costs. There's cost associated with all of it. The bottling company does not do labels. So you have to find another label company to work with your label, and that's a whole process too.
And most of the time they don't design them either, so you have to work with a designer.
To do that, and they don't do UPCs, and
you got to buy UPCs.
You have to buy UPCs, and there's ways to, if you're wanting to do it the right way, you have to get an account with the GS1. It's kind of like a government agency type thing where it's legal UPCs or whatever. You pay a pretty good amount of money, and they give you like 100, different barcodes that you can generate, and they're actually your unique company, and you can do whatever with products, or you can go, let's buy barcode.com and get something. And it might have been, an old DVD from back in the day is what it started out as being.
Repurpose UPCs.
But now, yeah. I don't think, so you don't actually own it. You might have bought that code from somebody, and it's just like an image or something, but you can't go in and change the details on a code like that, as far as I know. Because we made that mistake when we first started. I was like, I just need some barcodes. I can get 3 of them for $75. We'll start there.
All these thousands.
Because GS1 cost thousands of dollars to get started.
We did not have thousands.
You didn't have it, yeah. So starting out, I just, just went the cheap route. And it worked. You're not going to get major distribution, but is it a barcode on a label? Yeah. And it'll pass for a while until you start wanting to sell it to somebody. But after you get all that done, then they're ready to run that first batch. And you hope that when they do the test batch on it, that it's scaled and it's just as good as what the first sample was. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to tweak that, which we did. We found
sometimes you get lucky and you're like, man, that's dead on.
Yeah, that's rare.
That's so rare.
That's very rare. So we went through several changes, and a part of the white sauce one was separating, or like, how you talked about when you set mayonnaise on the shelf.
Yeah,
we had a problem. When you go mix in Mayo with vinegar, with enough vinegar to get the pH right, so it is shelf stable. Sometimes products want to separate, and you have to figure out different emulsion rates, and all this stuff was way over my head. When the guy started talking about we got to do this and this and this to make it, stay in solution, and I was like, you're gonna have to help me out a little there, because this is my recipe. I sent you. This is what I know how to do: blue plate mayonnaise, cider vinegar, and that's how
Stick
it went.
Your finger in it.
Yeah, does this taste good, Shell? All right, that's it. But it came out. It turned out really, really good.
Yeah.
It was, and see, that's the whole thing too. Like, you're always, when you're bottling something, Does it turn out exactly how you're going to make it at home by your recipe? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because my sauce, even my barbecue sauce to this day, is not the exact same sauce that if I went to making it on my stove in a small batch. It's just almost impossible to get it to do that.
Well, you're using you're using fresher ingredients.
Well, you don't know if they're fresh because you're getting them from the store. They're using fresh most of the time.
Yeah,
Co-packers
that's true.
have the freshest. I don't care if you're doing dry rubs, wet sauces, whatever. They're sourcing ingredients in bulk, and usually they're super fresh, But we're getting to the store. It's,
you don't know.
You don't know how long it's been sitting there or where it's been bought or traveled from or whatever.
What do you think's easier to bottle, rubs or sauces or pickles? You've done all.
Easier, probably rubs, I think.
Well, the process is a little.
Yeah. I've had better luck. I mean, as far as time frame, getting one to market, I've had faster time frames with rubs. But you're still, I mean, most of the time from concept to actually getting that bottled where you can sell it, I would say you got to give it a year.
I'd say so.
At least.
6 months is the bare minimum, I'd say.
Man, that's
that
rushing
means
it. Yeah.
rushing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you've got lead times and you've got changes and you've got this. And I mean, there's all kinds of factors that go into it where you just can't, it's not an overnight process, or it hasn't been for me.
What do you think? What's an upfront investment on that? Like you come in, you want a bottle of rub. Let's say rub.
Does it include your first order or just?
I'm saying you just have a rub recipe. You're just a guy with a rub recipe. You go to a co-packer and you start that process from scratch. You hire a designer.
Yeah. And you better you better at least plan at bare minimum $5,000, I would think.
For a small batch.
Yeah. To get started.
Yeah. To get one
pallet
of product.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the cost of it, I don't know. Prices have gone up so much on stuff. That's what makes it hard now, is because ingredient costs have went up, logistics costs have gone up, labor costs have gone up. When we've taken so many price increases. I don't even know. Like if I came up with a new one right now, I've got some rubs and stuff that we just hadn't never bottled, but going and getting those bottled, they would cost. I mean, they'd be way up there.
But if you're just doing a small batch,
the smaller the batch, the more it costs. You make the cost actually, to me, lowers in volume. So when you get to where you can,
like most things.
Yeah, it's because I guess it takes less effort to make a big batch of something than it does to small batch, because you've got more labor intensive time and you're buying smaller amounts of ingredients and all. Just more to it. Small batch stuff is more expensive. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, well, just make me 25 pounds of rub or whatever. It costs so much more to make that than it does to make, 4,000 pounds. Not just ingredient.
Because you got to clean everything in between, and
you got the labor, the changeover, all that.
Yeah.
So.
And usually the bigger companies that can make 4,000 pounds of
don't
rub
have the capability to make the small batches. Yeah. That's the one thing with sauce co-packers too. It's like our barbecue sauce and vinegar sauce, their pots are such a big size that they can't cook smaller batches. The pots don't work right. They've got to have so much liquid in them to get the consistency. And that's kind of the thing with the white sauce. Like with this guy, he does smaller stuff. And so it does batch out to where, we're running a pot size is usually a pallet or two or whatever it is. And he's got his days down to how often he can do it with the turnover and all that.
So what happens when you get it?
Then you got to figure out how to sell it. And you hope it's good. But to me, I don't know. What's the easy part? There's no easy part. There's no easy part.
Easy part.
Yeah. Because I remember when we first got our first pallet of rub, and there was like some in 5-pound bags and some in bottles, and it was a whole pallet. I was like, there's no way we're ever going to be able to sell this. I mean, how can you? It just looked like an unsurmountable, amount of bottles and boxes and stuff that was in our garage. Well, you have to figure out quick that you got to start doing something to be able to sell it. That's when you turn into a salesman. Leave that up to you. I think that's what you said. You just do what you do. Leave that up to you.
I think I said, don't worry.
Yeah, it'll sell.
We'll figure it out.
But you are on a time constraint, though, because the stuff's got a shelf life.
That's true.
So.
Yeah. And that's the thing I think a lot of people don't realize is it's one thing to get it all bottled. It's another thing to sell it.
Yeah. And then it's another thing even sell it the first time, it's got to be good enough to where people can buy it the second time. or you've just sold them a bunch of stuff that they can't sell. So that's the hard part. It's not impossible. It's just it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort.
Yeah, it does. It does.
There's a lot more goes into it than just having a recipe. And that's, I mean, I get, people, I try stuff all the time, and people, they've got a good rub, or their friends and family tell them it's awesome. And it is a lot of times. It's like, man, this is fantastic. But how can you market it, or how can you sell it, or once you get it,
or they don't even realize how difficult the bottling process is. I didn't know how difficult it was.
Idea. Yeah.
When we started. I mean, we've done it for years now, and we still run into constant problems with it.
Biggest issue now is price changing. I mean, when manufacturers are going up, and so say you've got a rub like we do. We've been making it with the same people for years, but their prices get so high that you can't afford it anymore. You got to go up so much, it's not going to sell. Do you start shopping for other manufacturers to do it? Well, that's you got to start over ground zero. There's no way they can take the recipe that company's making, because they don't have the same equipment. They're not using the exact same ingredients, because you don't know where they've sourced their core ingredients. So it's not going to be the same. So you have to take that into account. If you're going to switch co-packers, you better give yourself a year again to get it right.
Yeah.
Don't burn those bridges.
Well, Saturday, now that we talked about bottling, Saturday we did some fish fry.
We did. Yeah, we went. It was a beautiful weather this past weekend. We went fishing.
What'd you catch?
Just some bass. That's the only thing we really.
You caught a pretty big bass.
Yeah, I did.
What do you think that was?
3 or 4 pounds. I mean, for a little cow pond, is a pretty good size one.
It looked huge
on an ultralight pole. Yeah. But yeah, that's all we did.
I caught a buzz.
You caught a fish. You caught a few. Yeah.
I heard a lot of releasing happened at the pond.
Yeah, she likes to throw the bait out. She likes to feed them, get them in a frenzy.
When the little minnows start floating up to the top, I feel sorry for them and throw them out in the water and give them a chance.
At least they got the option.
Yeah,
they can roll over and float, or they can take off. They better find a stick or something to hide behind, or some grass.
Either way, the bass were getting excited.
They were. But we did, and then we fried some fish that night and had a good little fish fry.
So
it's just be you and Michael. So
yeah.
We didn't have a big group or anything.
So how do you fry fish? And what is a friable fish to you?
You can fry any of them. I prefer, that's hard to say. I love crappie. We had some crappie and some catfish.
Shout out to the Barbecue Ninja.
Shout out to Craig, the Barbecue Ninja, for bringing me some crappie last week. They caught them from, I think, Lake Washington down in Mississippi. So not too far from, he's got a little camp down there. But, so I had some catfish I thawed out, and had some crappie I thawed out. And my process for them is you got to get that fish dry. I'm not a marinade guy for my fillets. I take them, I thaw them. Usually fit the way we freeze them in water, so that it preserves them. You thaw them out, and then I get them out on paper towels, pat them dry, just like I would chicken if it's coming out of the package. Put it on a raised rack and let it sit there on the counter. And I'm not talking long. It takes, 30, 45 minutes kind of to air dry. And then when it's good and dry, I season it with my AP rub and a little bit of king crawl. And so it's almost like, I wouldn't say a dry brine, but I like to let that season sit on it for a little while too. Another 30 minutes.
Will that pull moisture out?
It kind of does, but I leave them on that rack and I let them air dry. So or you can stick them right back in the fridge if you want to. Let the air moving in the fridge kind of help them dry. But it makes them crispier to me, and it makes the batter to where it doesn't get too thick. A lot of times, you'll see people dip them in an egg wash or buttermilk and egg or something, hot sauce, something like that, then batter them. And you end up with this thick, kind of crust on it that's heavily battered. And I don't think good fried fish doesn't need that much batter. You just need some yellow cornmeal that you season up with a little salt and pepper. And that goes on them after you've seasoned them and let them dry. And I put them back on the rack and I let that batter dry too. And it all air drying's the key. It doesn't take long to fry them. I'm talking 8 to 10 minutes. These fillets are fried perfect. 350-degree peanut oil.
So what's your prep time?
A couple hours. I give myself 2 hours because I know I'm going to, once they're thawed, I take the fish out the night before and let it thaw in the refrigerator and then get it out of the water. let it dry about an hour, season it, let that sit about 30 minutes, put my batter on it, let that sit about 30 minutes, get my oil hot, and then they're ready to fry. But by that time, most of the time, I'm, doing French fries, doing
Making
hush
a tartar
puppies,
sauce.
making tartar sauce, making coleslaw, all that stuff that goes with a good fish fry.
Yeah. You made some fire hush puppies this weekend.
Man.
They're some of the best I've
They
had.
were. They were really good. And they were simple. I cheated. You bought the Martha White hush puppy packet, but we jazzed it up. We put some
We
green-
followed the directions on the packet.
Yeah. I mean, it had milk and a little water in it.
It was
That
pretty much it, yeah.
But we added green onion. We added some sweet, finely minced white onion. We added a little bit of Tony's to give it just a little bit of salt, and then some King Craw for some more Cajun flavor. And that was all it was. It was super simple. Man, I fried them like I didn't have a scoop or anything fancy. You just get a teaspoon, get you another teaspoon, get you a little scoop, use the back of the other spoon, and drop it in the hot oil. And they turn right into that ball hush puppy shape.
You can get a little ice cream scoop too.
Melon ball scoop works
Yeah,
really good. I
melon
don't know.
ball
Was that
scoop.
I forget, 1 ounce scoop maybe? I think it is. It's the smaller one, not like a big ice cream scoop.
Yeah.
You don't want that big a hush puppy. The problem with hush puppies is you can get them too dense. So they're packy and they don't get done in the middle. These were light, super light. When you bit into them, it was kind of airy. They weren't packed, and they were cooked all the way through, and the outside was crispy, and they had just a great flavor, and you got a little bit of the onion, a little bit of the seasoning, and they were really good.
One thing I've learned about hush puppies is mix up the hush puppy mix and let it set.
You got to 30 minutes. It
What
lets
does
it breathe.
that do?
I don't know. It must activate it, let it rise a little. I'm sure they've got baking powder and baking soda in with
Maybe.
the flour or
Maybe.
whatever. Little meal. It's like a loose cornbread, but not packy. It's kind of the best way to describe it. And homemade are the best. Now there is one brand, if you can find it, called World's Best Hush Puppies. It's in the generic package. It's like a clear package with a white label
Let me see
and
if they
black
can set
writing.
up.
It says World's Best Hush Puppies.
I haven't been able to find those lately.
I don't know if they still make them or not. This is pre-pandemic, but there's two flavors. They have one that's like a jalapeno and something, and they had original. Both of them are as good as you can buy, other than making homemade. Did you find them? But then we also did fries, and I usually
Oh, I'll tell you what, those extra crispy Ore-Ida fries,
that's what you bought.
those
Yeah,
things are
they were
great.
good. So I've got a Bayou Classic double basket fryer. It probably holds, I don't know, 4 gallons of oil. I use peanut oil. And
It's a nice fryer.
yeah, super.
Two basket,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it works. It heats up real good. Doesn't take it long to heat up once you fire it up. Holds, you barely leave the gas on to keep it right at 350, 375 in that green area on the dial. And I usually fry fries first. I'll give them, a couple minutes, pick them up, drain them, and then drop them back again to get them really brown and crispy, and then season them as soon as they come out.
Is that one that came out so crispy?
Yeah,
Good.
got to do the double fry on them. Then the hush puppies go next because they fry fast. I mean, the hush puppy's done in 3 minutes, usually tops. It's like frying donuts or beignets or something. You drop them. By the time you drop them, they'll go to the bottom. They'll come up and float, and you just need to kind of get you some tongs or something and kind of flip them so they cook even. And then by that time, they're done. You take them out. Then you're ready to fry your fish. And the trick to the fish is you've already got it seasoned and dried out, and the breading will stay light on it. To bread them, I didn't say this. I need to say this part.
Okay.
I put it all in a bag. Like I'll have all my cornmeal and my seasonings in like a big Ziploc bag or a meat bag or a brown paper sack, or they make a breader bowl thing. I usually don't. That's too much cleanup. Put them all in there, and I'll drop my fillets in 4 or 5 at a time. Shake them around, dust them off, shake them really good, and put them right back on the rack so they can dry too. So you do that with all your fillets, and you let them sit about 30 minutes. Then you bring them outside after you fried your potatoes and your hush puppies. Then you start dropping the fillets, but don't overcrowd your baskets. So I had 2 baskets going, and I can drop about 4 or 5 fillets in each basket at a time. But I made sure I do them one at a time away from me, and I let them separate because you don't want them to come together and kind of stick together. They won't cook even. And fish will kind of let you know when it's done. It'll start floating. Like it goes down to the bottom a lot like the hush puppy does, and then it kind of floats up. You don't have to flip it too much. You just kind of eyeball it, shake the basket a little bit. But I like it to get crispy and golden, so it's usually about 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes is about how long I let it fry.
What else, Filet? You like smaller ounce fillets.
Yeah.
I do too.
Usually I buy, if I had my choice, I would buy the little 2 to 4s, but they're way more expensive because it's a younger catfish and just, I guess it costs them more. But these were probably, I would say 5/8. And when I cook 5/8, I split them right down the middle. There's like a seam in a catfish fillet. So it makes these kind of catfish fingerlings, and they curl up and they get real crispy. And that's the way I like them. I don't want a big hand-sized fillet. There's nothing, I mean, I don't want that, the fish don't need to be too thick. Thin and crispy fish is where it's at.
Heck yeah. Those crispy little ends on it.
Yeah.
So you're using a fancy fryer now.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever used like a Fry Daddy to fry
Heck
fish?
yeah. I've used it all. We used to fry them in a Dutch oven on the stove top. I mean, I've used plenty of black iron Dutch ovens frying on a fish cooker too. They work great. They work really good. But the basket and the propane fryer is where it's at. I mean, it's easier because you can clean your oil real easy. You can keep your whatever container your oil came in, save those, don't throw it away. Because you can buy this little filter attachments, and most of those, like the fish cookers that I have a drain on them. It's like a ball valve, and you open it up and run it through that filter. It cleans that oil, gets anything out of it. You can clean out the fryer after it's empty, wipe it out real good, get any crumbs or anything that fell down the bottom out, and put it back in. You're good to go
how often
again.
do you have to do that?
Probably depending on how often you're using it. I would say probably 3 to 4 cooks, something like that. And if you're good about regulating your heat, not heating the oil up too much, it'll last you a long time. But some people have a problem. I mean, it depends on what kind of fish you're cooking too. I've had some where people cooking some old fishy. I don't know where they get them fish.
Some old eels.
Yeah. Gar or something. I don't know.
Some greasy fish.
Yeah, some greasy fish. Make that. You can tell. If you've had fish cooked in bad grease, you can tell it. So.
Heck yeah.
We always, coming up, we always kept our fish grease separate than our cooking grease.
Yeah.
So if we had, if we knew we were going to fry chicken wings, we wouldn't fry them in the same oil that we fried fish in before.
A lot of people do that with their turkeys when they fry turkey.
Yeah, you don't use the
They
same.
keep their turkey oil separate.
Yeah. That's why I buy it at Sam's, the big jug. Now, it's just I buy the clear frying oil, or if I'm going to splurge, I'm going to buy peanut oil. Most of the time, I like to fry in peanut oil. It gives it a better taste.
It's expensive.
And now it is, yeah.
Heck yeah. It's always been a little
Even that clear frying oil is expensive now.
My dad used a cast iron Dutch oven but he used it over a burner outside.
Yeah. Those work good.
You grill and barbecue better than my dad, but
there's no way he's got me on frying fish. I do not believe that. I'm the Catfish King. I got the trophy to prove it. Cooked in one catfish contest, won it. It said Catfish King, and I stopped. Why would you go further?
It said Catfish King of Mississippi.
Of Mississippi, yeah. Maybe I need to do national.
And it was like 2002.
It don't matter. You don't lose it. It ain't like a stipulation. Like you got a time frame on it.
And
Can't
really,
take that away from somebody.
I think they didn't do that contest anymore.
They
So
can't stop the contest.
you reigned.
I'd reigning Catfish King till. Maybe we need to bring that contest back, just a catfish cooking contest.
So when you won that, they gave you like a little, I think it was a piece of paper in a frame.
It was a major award is what it was. It was a major award. It had Catfish King on it. It was in this, I don't know what kind of a special trophy arranged placard holder thing it was.
It was a piece of printed paper.
You're making this out to be Bobo. They
but
just
for
threw this
Christmas
together.
last year, I had a real trophy made.
That's not how I remember it at all. I remember this crowning,
Oh, that's what the
golden
sound.
catfish came out.
You got like knighted.
Yeah, the scepter and all of it. Catfish King. But yeah, no, I love frying fish.
So speaking of frying, but not frying, we did crispy wings.
Yes, I have just about perfected those on a pellet grill.
Yeah.
I would say
So tell me, okay.
It would be hard for somebody to tell you didn't fry them, I think. And
I would assume you fried them.
yeah, the trick was, once again, I got my chicken wings and I let them air dry, get them dry as you can get them. It takes at least an hour. You got to give them at least an hour. 2 hours is about as maximum
To dry,
you go.
yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Have you ever gone longer?
I have, but you don't gain anything. You don't.
Some people say put them in the fridge overnight.
You can. It's not gonna hurt them.
I've tried it before. It didn't.
Yeah.
I
1
didn't
hour
notice any
minimum,
difference.
2 hours tops is all you need to go. Skin's perfectly dry. So I've experimented before with like the cornstarch, the baking soda, but the trick was adding grated cheap Parmesan cheese to it. Just go to your grocery store. It don't matter if
Why
it's the
does
store
that make
brand.
the difference?
I think it adds seasoning and it takes away from some of the starchiness of the cornstarch.
Yeah.
You don't get that gritty flavor with it.
But it still can give
Yeah.
you the crust.
That's right.
What's that
That's
cheap
right.
Parmesan made out of? Is it made out
Tree
of
bark?
Parmesan?
I don't know. Some type of Parmesan cheese, imitation Parmesan. I don't know.
You're talking about the
But
stuff.
I'm talking about the cheap stuff that you see.
green top that you shake out.
Yeah, yeah. It's just green, shaky Parmesan cheese. Don't get the fancy kind from the deli that's been. Don't grate your own. You're wasting good cheese for that. You want the one
Spaghetti
that's
cheese.
Yeah, spaghetti cheese. Exactly. Everybody's had it. It comes in
Yeah.
a green bottle, green top. Shake it out. But that's so I'd use like a quarter cup of parm of the grated cheap parm, a quarter cup of cornstarch, and a tablespoon or two of baking powder. That's the 3 things that go in it. Then you can season it a little bit if you want to.
Did you season it? Did you put any seasoning in the?
I don't think
PX.
I put like a tablespoon or two of TX. That's right. Just to give it some salt and pepper. And then I took those dry wings, that went in a Ziploc bag, shook it up, put the wings in a few at a time, mix them all around, put them out on the rack, just like we talked about doing the catfish. Let them dry a little bit, and then they go on a 400-degree pellet grill. I don't care what brand of pellet grill it is. You just need 400 degrees. And at 1 hour, I'd say about 45 minutes, go ahead and flip them just to make sure they're getting even temp.
Could you do this with pieces? Because
Yeah, like drums and flats.
Yeah.
I did whole wings, but yeah. Definitely could.
do you think that would decrease your cook time a little?
It's still probably about
Possibly.
an hour.
Yeah.
I would watch them then.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, you just want them to get close to 200 degrees internal to get extra, jump right off the bone. They're
Yeah.
done at 165, but to get that crispiness. But man, if you watch that TikTok video, you can see these jokers look like they have been fried, and they were fantastic. At that point, you could sauce them if you want. I did some of Cosmo's wing dust, just the buffalo flavored wing dust, right over the top.
And
And then I made a buffalo ranch, and that was like a homemade ranch. It's like a cup of sour cream, 3/4 cups of blue plate, 1 ranch packet, and then I took Frank's wing sauce, not the Frank's hot sauce, but Frank's has a buffalo wing sauce, and I don't know, about a third of the bottle, and that
Probably a
amount
quarter
of ranch.
cup,
Yeah,
would
it was
you
good.
say?
It was a good bit.
Yeah.
And that sauce right there is jam up.
It
You never
is.
tried that. You get all that good buffalo flavor right there, so you don't have to sauce that wing. You can keep it would be good for any kind of wing that you want to get a little buffalo flavor with, to do it like that. But one thing that helps make those wings crispy too is I sprayed them with some duck fat, and that helps. Like right before they went on, I hit them with a little duck fat over the top, and then about halfway through the cook, I went and checked on them, and I hit them with a little more duck fat, and it helps that crispiness. It helps that breading make that crispy, little snappy snap on it. It's good. It's really good.
It's really
It took me.
good.
I mean, I've ruined some wings using cornstarch method and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're gritty, and I mean,
Now this still had a little bit of a texture on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't the same texture you get when you actually fry them.
yeah. I mean, it's the closest you're gonna get to fried chicken on a grill. I
think
promise
so.
you.
Yeah.
Without
It's-
actually submerging them in hot oil, just the closest you're gonna get to fried chicken.
I want to see what
It's
it's
way better than like what's the old stuff that shake and bake chicken like
Yeah.
Mama
Yeah.
would make as a kid. Way better than that.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
it makes like
that-
a crust on it.
I want to see what it's like. I think if you maybe tossed it in sauce right before you served them, like pull them off the grill,
Yeah.
toss them in sauce and serve them.
It'd be like a Hooters style breaded wing.
Yeah, you wouldn't even. I don't even think you'd notice that
No, I don't
slight
think you would.
little texture
Tyler,
on
did
the
you
outside.
took some of those that later that day? Didn't you take some home with you?
Yeah, I did.
Did you try them? Did you reheat them, or did you just try them?
I threw them in the oven. I mean, honestly, they kept mostly the same consistency.
They didn't get soft or soggy. or
Not
anything?
really. Not
They
That's
were
my
still
problem with
crunchy.
like
Yeah.
when you buy fried battered wings, like say Hooters for instance.
Yeah.
You get them to go or take them home. It sogs out with the sauce and stuff on them. Or even when
They're not as
even
good.
crispy plain, they're just not as good. These kind of held up, I thought.
Mm-hmm. This is like it's like a crust. Like it's like almost like
it
a
is.
bark. Like I don't know.
But you wouldn't know it was Parmesan cheese, and I don't think you would know it was cornstarch either. I mean, you just couldn't tell.
It was
You would think it was like floured or something.
It was the best crispy smoked wing that I've had. Yeah.
And they had that grilled flavor from being on the grill too.
Yeah. And they were good
I wanna
tender. You
try
could pull
'em.
them apart.
So I want to try them like on the Weber, because I've done the cornstarch wings, like
But you've never done the
battered wings,
Parmesan.
but I've never done the parm like that. That's my next experiment, to do that on the Weber, to see if I can get a real, like, put some wood on there and get some real good grilled flavor, smoke and charcoal flavor on that wing. 'Cause I think that would be next level.
Yeah. So last night we did black beans and a flat iron steak.
Yeah, it was my night to run the grill again. The Walmart flat iron.
I know. I was
man,
going to say.
fire.
It was good.
Yeah, the whole trick to those is don't overcook them, man. You marinated it,
I used Daddy Hinkles.
Big Daddy Hinkles.
I don't think it's Big Daddy Hinkles.
That's
You
what I
keep
call
on-
it. It's just Hinkles marinade or something. And it's like a
Marinades
package
are
you found?
good.
Yeah.
It's like a half. The package is half seasoned and half wet.
Yeah,
And
marinade.
you open it up, and you're supposed to like season it and then rub it. And
Man, the
I
only
just don't
thing I
follow
did to
that.
those, they stayed in that from, I don't know, most of the day.
Yeah.
Before we went to work, you put them in that marinade. We got home. I fired up a chimney of charcoal on the Weber, took those steaks straight out of that marinade. Right before I threw them on the grill, I hit them with some Grande Gringo, because we were kind of going for that, Southwestern Mexican style flavor. I think it was a total of about 11 minutes combined is all they cooked on the grill. I did 2 minutes.
And they were
I
a
did my
thicker
turn.
flat
Yeah.
iron.
Oh, yeah, it was a big, thick flat iron. And they were like, I don't know, I took them off 122 internal, and then sliced them after they rested about 7 minutes, sliced them super thin, melt in your mouth.
It was really good.
Even Michael was tearing it up. I was like, man, you're going to have to ease up off that red meat. Afraid he's going to get himself sick. We brought the leftovers for lunch today.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah.
Um,
Tacos.
I like using store-bought marinades, especially weeknights.
It's quick. It's a quick dinner. We're trying to look something that the plan was for us to like go home, cook a quick dinner, have enough leftovers that we can bring a lunch. So it would save us some money. We don't have to worry about ordering out, eat a little healthier. We tried to pair it with, some black beans and some, brown rice, something like that. But, it was good. Real good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Daddy Hinkles. I'm gonna have to try some more of his
Yeah.
because that one was a Southwest.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
They had that at Walmart?
yeah,
I didn't know. It just showed up in our pantry. I didn't know where it came. Was it a sample or what?
yeah. It did look weird, didn't
Yeah.
it?
It was good, though. I'd use it again.
Yeah. Kroger has some marinades that are pretty good too. The Kroger brand.
Yeah, one of my favorites are Baja. They got like this Baja Southwest marinade. It's good on chicken. It's good on pork, too.
Yeah.
I like a 30-minute marinade. It's quick.
I usually leave them in longer than 30 minutes.
I have ruined some stuff. Leave it in.
Oh, really? How long did you
yeah.
leave it?
I don't know. It was like an hour or two. It's the pork chops. Just ate right through them, like dissolved them. Changed the texture and everything. Must have had a lot of meat tenderizer or something. in it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how they get away with this is a 30-minute marinade, because it's probably, I didn't look at the ingredients, it's probably horrible for you. Tastes good, but it's probably horrible for you.
We think we're trying to do better and
Yeah.
healthy, but we're eating plastic.
Yeah. Sodium and chemicals.
I didn't check.
Yeah.
I
I don't
just-
know what Big Daddy uses, but,
I just took his
but
word.
it was good.
That's the second time I've used one of his marinades and been like,
Yeah.
that's pretty
Pretty
good.
stuff.
This week we had a question on the community page. I always try to check and see what interesting things are going on the community page. And Blake had a question. If I have 2 turkeys to smoke on Friday night, how do I keep them moist until Sunday?
Wow. You got to smoke them on Friday? That's a tough one. I mean, if you got, the best way I found is use the big gusseted vacuum sealer bags. I think it's the 11-inch wide bag, gusseted. When you smoke them, let them cool off. I usually keep them in an aluminum pan. Let them sit at room temp just enough to to get down to right at 140. Vacuum seal them up, get them in the refrigerator, and that way you can reheat them. I mean,
Most people said once it cools to go ahead and carve it.
I don't know.
You don't know? Most people said cook it on Sunday.
That's the best bet.
But I think it was an Easter type situation.
I mean, the deal, I've always thought when you carve stuff, it's going to lose juice.
Automatically.
And reheating it's tough because it's smaller.
Well, how do
You
reheat
keep it whole. You just put it in the oven and reheat it, or put it back on the pit and reheat it. You got to reheat it.
Yeah.
But it don't have to reheat but back to 140. It's not like you're trying to take it back up to 165. And to me, if you could keep it, contained, catch as much juice as you can take it out of that bag, put some foil over it. There's probably some juice still in the pan, and you can reheat it that way. But I don't recommend doing that to a turkey at all. I mean, reheated turkey is not going to be that good.
Yeah.
No
You lose a lot.
Yeah. I would do it more to turkey breast than I would the whole turkey.
That would be better. Yeah.
Those reheat pretty good. I've even
those boneless turkey breasts.
Boneless turkey breast. Smoke them, wrap them up in foil, stick them in the fridge. When you get ready to reheat it, put a little extra butter in there, pop it in there, and bring it back up slow. They're really good like that. But the whole turkey, I don't know. I mean, you could do it, but it's never going to be as good as the day it came off that pit.
Red meat seems to do a lot better.
Yeah, it does pretty good.
And pork does too.
Pork does phenomenally better. You can take a whole butt, and reheat it, or tenderloin or loin doesn't do as good that way, just because you don't have as much moisture, and not much fat.
There was also somebody that shared a sweet chili Brussels sprout recipe.
Ooh.
And it's basically just they cooked it as normal, like we do. Oil, they used AP, put it on the pit.
Bacon? Bacon?
No, they didn't use bacon in their recipe. But at the end, they just brushed it with the sweet chili sauce.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like the same sweet Thai chili sauce, Maggie's sweet Thai chili or whatever it is?
They had some other brand like La Choy or one of those brands. But
Frank's makes one of those. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it does. We've used those in wings. But I was like,
I would try it.
Idea.
Yeah. I would try it. I like the balsamic, and so
balsamic bacon,
balsamic glaze with a little bacon, Brussels sprouts. So it has that balsamic glaze has a little sweetness too. It's really good. So I could see the sweetness playing with the heat.
Yeah, and if you wanted to serve it with like a Asian style dish,
yeah, maybe some rare beef,
kimchi.
Yeah, that'd be like Brussels sprouts and kimchi and some kind of flank steak or something.
I can figure out a way to serve rare beef.
Yeah.
Work it into any
steak. Brussels sprout goes great with beef.
I love Brussels sprouts. I didn't grow up eating them.
I hated them. They boiled them. They were slimy. They stunk. They tried to put cheese on them. That was not something that was good. When we figured out how to roast them or how to put them on the grill, it changed the game. Mm-hmm. Brussels sprouts.
Even Michael likes them.
You got to get them crispy.
So what do you have coming up this weekend, Malcolm?
Oh, man, I'm going to New Orleans. I'm going to a concert. Probably get some Hurricanes.
Yeah, do you have any goals
beers
down there? Like, you can try to get some
13
oysters?
Hurricanes. That's my record.
13?
I think so.
In one evening?
Yeah. It's probably,
Did you
thinking
puke?
national champion, I don't remember which championship it was when the Florida State played Virginia Tech. No, I didn't puke.
MVP.
A grown-ass man. I puke. That's the life of the party. Ended up at like Domino's. I think we picked up some chicks. I don't know.
Domino's pizza?
There's old Domino's back over one of them streets. We were staying on a hotel off Canal. Walked back through and decided we wanted Domino's at 2 a.m, I think.
So
that's a different story for different podcasts. This is a long time ago.
I don't know. I've heard this one.
Yeah.
So it was a national championship game you were down in New Orleans?
Yeah. Heck yeah, Florida State won. It's a great, great time. I've had some good ones down there. Oh, 14? No, I was old enough to know better. What year was that? Probably 98, 99, something like that. Something like that.
So you're probably 24, 23, 24?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'm going to ask more questions about this story. I hadn't heard
this
it.
is before shells.
Yeah.
I've had some great New Orleans stories. It's like my town.
Well, we're
That's
going
all I
back.
got coming up. I may not be back next week. I don't know.
But we are filming a Easter brisket.
Yeah.
That'll come
We're
out
going to be
next
back
week.
down in Metairie. We're right outside of New Orleans in 2 weeks, 3 weeks? 3 weeks.
Yeah, the weekend after Easter. We're doing
double
crawfish.
trips. I might as well just stay down there.
You got to come back for Easter.
Yeah, I'm sure I can shack up with somebody. We can go find a fish camp.
Trade them your cooking skills
Yeah.
for lodging.
That's right.
We can bring the podcast down there. I got this.
To New Orleans.
Yeah. Rent an RV.
That's all I got coming up. Memphis in May.
And we're
Be
doing
here before you
a
know it.
Easter brisket.
Easter brisket will be coming out next week. That's going to be really good.
Yeah. Then we got Easter.
We got some more TikToks that Tyler and I did.
Crispy Wings is out. Well, will be out.
I tell you one that surprised me was a recipe that you saw. It was kind of like inspired.
We talked
by
about it on
another
the
one.
podcast
Yeah,
last week.
the crescent
Reuben
Reuben
rolls.
Yeah, those were
They called
they were ugly, but man, they turned out phenomenal.
So tell real quick, run through that.
Pastrami sauerkraut and Swiss cheese inside crescent roll.
You didn't.
Dipped in,
You bought the crescent roll sheet so you could make larger
big triangles.
rolls. Yeah.
And rolled them up, put them on the pellet grill till they're golden brown, done on the inside. Cut them in half and dipped them in Thousand Island. I mean, Ken's Thousand. It was the easiest recipe, but it's like, man, it's a banger right there.
It was really good.
Even mini versions would be good with the regular size. That'd be great little appetizers. It's way better than pigs in a blanket. Reuben's in a blanket. Yeah,
Reuben's in a blanket.
they were good.
We tore those up.
Yeah, they
Over
were.
the
Did you take?
Like, they were
Yeah,
gone.
they were really good. I mean, they were fantastic. It was like that stumbled upon. So whoever thought of those was a genius.
I don't know if that's a compliment for me for finding them or
Somebody else did it. I ain't taking
Oh, yeah.
blame for it.
we saw them. It was like a restaurant was doing them.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Was it on TikTok or?
Yeah, I
where
saw
you
it on TikTok, but they
Yeah.
used brisket. They made their own crescent rolls.
But it wasn't a Reuben either, though. It wasn't like
Mm-mm,
with
they used
sauerkraut.
brisket. They didn't use
It
sauerkraut.
was just brisket and did it have cheese?
They used stone ground mustard, brisket, and some type of cheese and rolled them up.
Same kind of way.
Yeah, same kind of way.
And I was like, nah, let's do it Reuben style. It was really good.
The pastrami you found was really
You
good.
could do any kind of meat in it too.
You could do turkey and Swiss
Ham
and
and
something,
cheese.
ham and cheese.
It's kind of like those King's Hawaiian rolls. Like you could just
Pepperoni.
Yeah, keep going.
keep going.
Right, you do pizza roll ups like that. Yeah, that's all. All that sounds good. But yeah, it was better than I thought it was as good as kolaches.
I liked it better than a kolache. Ooh, could we do some type of sausage in those rolls
Yeah, then you
and do our own kolaches?
Kind of. Yeah, you could. I could do boudin.
Ooh, boudin kolaches.
I'm gonna have to do that.
That's a good recipe.
Yeah, real good. Oh, this is a link piece of boudin and wrap it up.
I think it's getting lunchtime. I'm
Oh,
starting.
well, that's about all we got today, Shell. Where can they find us?
You can find Malcolm at HowToBBQRight on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course YouTube. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Miss Southern Shell.
That's right. Hey, if you got questions and stuff, you want to hit us up, check out the community on Facebook. It's a great resource. Also got a mobile app. Is that right, Tyler?
Yes, sir. We got a How to Barbecue Right mobile app with all of Malcolm's favorite recipes
It's
on
in,
there.
It's in the iTunes store and the Google Play store. And that's all we got today, folks. Anything else, Shell?
Oh no, I'm waiting for you to say we gone.
Oh, we gone.